Good evening. I'm John Batchelor. Larry Kudlow of Kudlow Reports at CNBC and Kudlow Radio on the weekend is with me. Larry, I do not mean to shy away from Greece. I want to speak of Jon Huntsman, but I will repeat my doubts about Greece, and you are more optimistic after today's confidence vote in Athens. Is that correct?
Well, all I'll say is Papandreou rose to the occasion, and he won the vote of confidence in the parliament. That's all I'm saying. But it's a very important first step. So we'll see. Now he's got to cut and privatize, and I don't know, the cards may be stacked against it, but the reaction of the stock markets in the last 2 trading days signal a lot of relief, and that the Armageddon stories are not going to materialize right now. And I like that because, John, I don't like Armageddon. I never have.
I understand. You are not Chicken Little. You are the opposite of Chicken Little. You're Chicken Big, Larry. That's what you are, not Chicken Little. But in any event, we're going to turn to the presidential canvas now because Greece and its fate will be resolved by the Europeans, but the American Republican Party must choose a candidate between now and next summer. Beth Reinhardt of National Journal joins us. She is a political correspondent writing about Jon Huntsman as the un-Republican or the un-cola of the campaign. His announcement today at Liberty Park in New Jersey in the same setting with the Statue of Liberty and an American flag in the background, chosen by Ronald Reagan in 1980 to make his announcement for the presidency. Beth, a good evening to you. Mr. Huntsman's statement today and your remark about him as the un-cola, did he live up to your expectations as a different taste of a Republican, Beth?
You know, his resume certainly speaks to him being a different kind of Republican. His record does. He's taken some socially moderate positions. He's lived overseas. He's had, a pretty interesting life. But the speech itself, I'd say, was pretty boilerplate. It was with all the calls that you hear from every Republican about, American exceptionalism, and we have to keep America great, and we can't let ourselves slip into debt. And the tone was just a little flat, I felt. I don't know that he sort of met the moment, on the site where Reagan spoke and Statue of Liberty in the background.
So, Beth, did you expect him to come out for higher taxes and bashing business?
No, of course not. But I mean, if I tell you, did I feel anything when I was watching him? Not really. He didn't really move me.
All right, he didn't send a chill down your leg.
No.
Larry, you worked for Ronald Reagan, and he chose that setting deliberately. Did he satisfy you in his preparatory remarks or today? I don't believe you've interviewed him yet at CNBC, but that is, if you're going to go up and say you're Babe Ruth, you better hit a home run, Larry.
Well, it's funny. I actually was at the Reagan speech at the Statue of Liberty. It wasn't all that good. The great Reagan speech was at the New York Stock Exchange, and I was at that one too, and that was the one that unleashed me for Reagan. Huntsman, Beth, I don't know much about him. I mean, I know a little bit. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that he was Obama's ambassador to China and is still running. I see that as a plus, not a minus. What do you think?
I will turn over to Beth, but what I think is that it puzzles a lot of people early in the campaign. Beth, does the candidate provide an explanation for how 2 years ago he chooses to be ambassador to China and 2 years later he chooses to run against the man who made him ambassador to China?
He gives an explanation, but I think he only answers half the question. I mean, as to why he accepted the appointment, I think he has made a pretty reasonable explanation there where he says, I was asked to serve my country, and it wasn't about, serving this particular president. It was about serving my country. And I think, that can resonate with people. People understand that. But as for the decision to quit and then challenge the guy he was working for, I don't know that he's thoroughly explained that. And I don't know that he can explain that without being critical of the president, which he's said, he's going to try to run a very courteous campaign. So that's going to be a tight line to walk.
Yeah, but Beth, besides blind ambition, which is a good motive for this guy, isn't he going to be critical of Obama's foreign policy? Didn't he sort of say that today and has said that before?
he has sort of, started hinting, like you say, we don't know him that well yet. He has started hinting that he thinks we're entangled in these military conflicts that we need to get out of. So there's, some distance between him and the president in that respect. And I'm sure we'll hear more about that, because if he's claiming foreign policy as his wheelhouse, then, he's going to be pressed quite a bit on that.
Well, of course, this is the new Republican Party, John. They're all McGovernite isolationists.
Yeah, well, they've done the word neo-isolationism so that I have to use it every night, Larry. I mean, Mitt Romney ran away from Afghanistan in that first debate, and there wasn't a China question at all on the stage in Manchester, New Hampshire. Beth, where does, I know it's a minor detail, but it came up with the vice president under George Bush, where did Mr. Cheney live? Where does Mr. Huntsman live?
I actually think that isn't such a minor question. I think that's part of sort of his challenge to define himself. He was governor of Utah. He doesn't own a home in Utah anymore. He just came back from 2.5 years from China. Obviously not claiming that as his address anymore, because that would disqualify him. He, not too long ago, bought a home in Washington, D.C., which is, of course, the least popular place to be from if you're running for office.
So he's a presidential candidate who will be from D.C.?
Well, wait, is it Washington or was it Virginia?
He's actually from in the district. He lives in the district, yeah.
So it'll be Huntsman of District of Columbia. All right.
But wait, there's more. He's headquartering his campaign in Florida, because he can't headquarter in Utah, which is a different time zone and very far from the early primary states of New Hampshire and South Carolina. He can't headquarter not in Washington for the reasons we were just talking about. He can't headquarter in China, so he's picked Florida.
Well, so he's headquartering in Florida, so he doesn't have to pay income tax.
Right, that's right. All right, fine. And he is a well-to-do man. And Larry, that's to his good, that he comes from a successful business in Utah, well, his father's business, and he's very well-to-do. Is that correct, Beth?
Yeah, look, I could take it or leave it on the money issue. That doesn't qualify him. It doesn't disqualify him. Beth, what I want to know is, what was his message on the economy? What did he say? Anything specific? What does this guy believe in?
I think that's still to be determined. I mean, what he said about the economy was, he spoke sort of in general themes about American ingenuity and productivity, and how we need to reignite that, and we need to do something about the deficit. But he certainly didn't offer any specifics today, though I don't know that you necessarily expect someone to lay out, nitty-gritty in their opening speech.
But he got under the skin of the Obama cons.
Right, he did. Let me read this. Let me read the statement from the White House to the Huntsman's candidacy. Like the other Republican candidates, instead of proposing a plan that will allow middle-class families to reclaim their economic security, Governor Huntsman is proposing a return to the failed economic policies that led us into the recession. Is that fire-breathing at Mr. Huntsman, Beth, and why?
Well, I think I'm sure it does irk the administration. They thought they had dispatched with this potential rival by sending him thousands of miles away to China, and what does he do but return and challenge him after all, which is what they were, thought that was a problem they thought they had taken care of by making him ambassador. And I think they see in him someone who does have general election appeal, and could be, a pretty formidable challenger.
But which failed policies are they talking about? The Bush tax cuts, which Obama signed on to an extension?
Right.
I think that's exactly the reference. Yes.
Right.